Hey, everybody, it's Jason and Jonathan with Abundant AI, a new show coming to the network for Abundant TV, where we're going to be discussing AI, faith, business, how you can use all this stuff together and just bring some truth to what AI is today. No need to be afraid of it. Again, Jason Webb, been a big part of the network here, do a lot within the AI space, and Jonathan Mast, my co host. Jonathan, you do so much with an AI. You are the guru, Whitebeard Strategies. I'm sure a lot of people have seen your TikTok videos, your YouTube videos on this stuff. Man, this is so cool. This has been something that we've been working on to build up for the last few months, and we're here. We're here.
I'm really excited, Jason. I mean, one, you and I can carry on a conversation about most anything, as we know, but we both have a passion for AI,
We do.
and obviously we have an absolute passion for our faith. And I love talking about that intersection. Not everything may be just about faith, but I love that combination. And I really think probably more than anything else, as men of faith and as people of faith, AI is a tool, and it's a tool that we have opportunities to do. As I shared this with my wife the other day, she laughed at me, and then she goes, "Okay, I get it." But my goal in life, Jason, I think I've shared with you, is someday to have Jesus Christ say to me, "Well done, good and faithful servant." If I can achieve that, boom, everything else has been, I've done it.
Mhm.
And I really don't want to get to heaven someday and have him go, that I told you that parable about the talents and using the talents. And I go, yeah, I remember that. Jesus, what do you mean? He goes, that AI thing that I sent to you, that tool that you could use, you ignored it. Oh, I don't
Oh, wait for
ever
the
want that to happen.
yes.
And I really do believe that, AI isn't good or bad. Some people I know, especially in faith, are like, oh, it's evil. No, AI isn't good or bad. It's a tool. And I think just like any other tool, we have an obligation as Christians and people of faith to demonstrate to the world, not just in faith, but in our business and in our lives and in our families, how can we use AI to better serve all of those that we're in the community with, to better achieve our goals, and ultimately to better serve our God and Savior.
I completely agree. Again, we've both been heavily involved in AI. Well, really since the inception of it, and
Yeah,
being able to use it as a tool to help us with business, life, faith, our journey. And you and I both, like you just said, have had discussions with people where they're talking about, no, I have to stay away from AI. It's evil. It's this or
mm,
that. And it's a tool. There's nothing evil or good about it. It's just a tool. And I love how you put that about the parable of the talents, that it's there, and he gives us these tools to further the kingdom. And us coming to the forefront of this, it's not going away. We need to lead from the
yeah,
front with this, and we need to be able to bring the ethical and the reasons of why we do it, and the right way to do that. And you have an incredible community on Facebook, that you're close to almost 400,000 people on this, that you are at the forefront of a lot of different technological advances within AI, that you're teaching a lot of this stuff, where people can join this. They can check this out. It's a free group. It's right there. There's the QR code. You can scan it, or you can type in just AI prompts for entrepreneurs and check that out. But Jonathan, you teach a lot of just different AI techniques that really most people don't necessarily know that they're capable of doing this. Right before we got on air here, you were talking about faith in your worship, and how you just love worship, but that you sing off key just like I do, but we love it.
I
We
do.
sing it.
Yes,
We're the big guys in the back that sing. Just we love the Lord, but you use AI to actually create worship music, right?
I do. I do. And it's really helped me strengthen my faith. I mean, it's just, there's so many things. It's not just one thing, but it allows me to live that faith out more acutely every single day.
Mhm.
And I don't know anything about producing music, but I was able to have a long conversation with AI. And by long, I mean maybe 30 minutes. Um, Explaining what I was trying to do and where I was trying to go. And of course, I played around a little bit. My wife loves to say the reason I love AI is because I get to play all day long. She's not wrong. I do. And what's amazing now is that I'm putting together literally just an album that I listen to when I drive, when I'm on my
Mhm.
motorcycle, if I'm out for a walk, whatever the case is. And I can literally listen to this music. And in my case, I'm going through the book of Proverbs. We're creating literally like 400 songs, one for every proverb. And it's meaningful to me.
Mhm.
It's impactful. It may not be to you. You may not like patriotic country worship music. I happen to love patriotic country worship music. And so to me, it's great. And the ability that AI gives us to do something that, I'm 56 years old. Never in my life have I written a song or been able to write a song or even to do something anywhere close to that. And now I can actually dig deeper into the word, because guess what? I'm spending more time in Proverbs now. That's the book I'm focusing on, than I've ever done in my life. And Proverbs has always been one of my favorite books. I've spent a lot of time there, but I'm digging into it. I'm understanding it, because I'm now looking at how are we going to turn this into music, and
Mhm.
how are we going to turn this into something that's valuable. And that's just one of many ways that I use it. And it just proves to be so incredibly useful and impactful. And if nothing else, Jason, it allows me to spend more time closer to God,
Mhm.
because now, instead of listening to a podcast, which I'm likely to do, or a YouTube video while I'm driving, and I'm not watching but listening, uh, now I get to listen to that music, and it resonates with me because it's fitting in with what I'm doing, and it completes that day even more fully. So there's just so much that AI makes available that wasn't there. And I challenge anyone to tell me how me leveraging AI to write worship songs that glorify our Lord and Savior based on the book of Proverbs is anything but, at worst, even keeled. But in most cases, in my case, for me, it's been incredibly meaningful.
Oh, me as well. Me as well. One thing that I utilize AI for, and I talk to a lot of people about this, is basically I had it interview me. I had it,
Mhm.
discussions with the, and these are things that I know you've taught as well. Is basically having conversation with it. But what I did in that conversation is I actually told it, of course, who to act as, educators, psychologists, all of these things, interviewers, and I had it interview me on learning my how the style that I learn on, right?
Yes,
And so as I go through and I say, okay, explain the book of Proverbs or explain this chapter or this verse, it knows how I learn. So it's been
exactly.
taught on how I learn. And man, just the acceleration in growth and learning that I can now not necessarily, go off on a tangent on not I'm not learning anything from this, but you're just reading it just to read it. I actually can now, like, go right into the word, understand exactly what it's mean, and learn in my style. And you've taught that, and I learned that from you.
Well, you're absolutely right. And, it reminds me of one of the things I love using. So, always throughout my life, I've been a curious person.
Mhm.
And, we've all heard the Bible stories time and time again and all that. But so often we hear the stories and we kind of go, okay, that's it. There's not much more. Admittedly, I'm not likely to grab my dictionary or my concordance or my other resources and
Mhm.
after church dig through some of these. But the other day, and this happens almost every Sunday now, our pastor will mention something and it'll trigger something. And the other day he was actually talking about tax collectors and how hated the tax collectors were in Jesus's time, and how incredibly the meaning behind the fact that Jesus, when he was here, literally associated with tax collectors. And I admitted to myself, I really don't know that. I'm not sure I
Mhm.
fully comprehend that. And so I used AI and deep research to research what was going on at that time, what was happening, why were the tax collectors, and I know why generally, but I really wanted to dig in and understand it. And then, you know what? I ended up with a 23-page research document telling me about that. Now, I'm ADD, as you know, so I didn't read the
Me
23
too.
pages,
We've talked about
but
that.
there was a button that said, "Would you like to create an audio summary of this?" And I did.
Mhm.
And then on the way home, I literally was able to listen to that and gain a deeper understanding of that significance. This is just one thing
Mhm.
of Jesus spending time with the tax collectors, because we think of it and go, okay, yeah, the IRS may not be that popular, but I mean, really, is anybody going to give me a hard time for having dinner with the IRS? Not likely. They're
No,
probably
no.
think something's wrong. But that's about it. And to understand that, to me, as a curious person,
Mhm.
really helped make that story better. On Easter Sunday, they were talking about the final words that Christ uttered, and I'm now going to forget what that word was, so bear with me. But
That's okay.
I literally went in and said, okay, when this was originally written, it was written, I believe, in Greek or Hebrew. And again, I don't have it in front of me and my brain forgets. But I was able to dig into that word and what it meant and understand that that word had so much more meaning in
Mhm.
the original language than it has in English when we hear that. We hear "it is finished," and I go, "Okay, it is finished." But what did that really mean in the word that it was originally uttered in? And just to have that opportunity, I'm not relying on AI to make my salvation. I'm very comfortable in
Mhm.
my salvation. I know where I'm going if I die. I'm
Yep.
going to heaven, and I'm not worried about that. But I am using it to deepen my relationship and my understanding. and as a resource, just like somebody might do with a Bible commentary or a book they pick up from the store. And I see it as just the benefit is I have that available now to whatever Jonathan's mind is thinking about. I can
Mhm.
go there and I can learn. I don't have to wait. And that means I get to spend more time in the Word and more time learning, not less.
No, I love that, Jonathan. I'd like to kind of take just a brief break here, and say, hey, audience, you might be listening to this. You might not know where to start with an AI. Maybe you never had anything to do with an AI. Um, I would like to give you the audience just a brief overview of what tools are out there,
Hmm, good
what
idea.
they can start with, where do they start, how do they go about this. And I know we've discussed this in the past, but just changing from where we're at there, let's get into this a little bit, and then we can get back in there. But I want
Yeah, no,
to get
absolutely.
some
You know
teaching
me,
tips
I'll happily go down a rabbit trail. So yeah, um,
So where
go
would you
ahead.
say they start? Because I'm going to say, of course, OpenAI. It's of course the biggest one out there. Well, not maybe not the biggest, but it's the most well known out there. But
Mhm.
you have that. You have Grok. You have Cloud. You have Gemini. There's so many different tools out there. Um, I use a lot of them. I use pretty much most of them. And I know you do as well.
Mhm.
But we're also more experienced in this. But really, I'd say start with OpenAI, and maybe you can go down that path. Maybe you would say something different. So I'll let you go.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of ChatGPT, and if you have
Mhm,
access to it, that's a perfect place to start.
mhm,
What I always tell people is if you're getting started in AI, the natural tendency we have as humans is to go, I want the perfect tool. I want the
mhm.
perfect tool. And there's a lot of marketers out there, and by the way, I am one of them, but so I mean, I'm not calling the kettle black, but there's a lot of marketers that make the tools they're selling
Mhm.
sound perfect.
Yeah.
And we look at those and go, oh, I can't use ChatGPT. I got to use this tool. It's so much better. The reality is whatever tool you have available, if you're at work and your shop's a Microsoft shop and you're using Copilot,
Yep.
that's fine. If you've got ChatGPT, that's fine. If you're a Google shop, you've got access to Gemini, that's fine.
Mhm.
If you're using Claude, that's fine. If you're just using free stuff like Meta or Mistral or any of those that are totally free, those are fine. And the reason is, in my mind, they're going to allow us to take such a massive jump from where we are
Mhm.
that we don't need perfection.
Yeah.
This is kind of like going, I'm walking to church in the market every day. It's a
Mhm.
5 mile walk. Somebody's offered me a car. Am I going to complain that it's not brand new? Am I going to complain that it's got rust on it? Because the difference between walking and taking a car for that 5 miles is massive.
I love
I
that.
can worry next tomorrow or later about whether or not the car's got rust on it and everything else. I'm just happy I'm not walking 5 miles. And that
Exactly, right?
that's what AI can do when we're getting started. There's
Mhm.
time down the road to fine tune. Like you said, you use a lot of tools. I use
Yeah,
a lot of tools, but we've been using them daily for years now.
exactly.
And you will find things that work. And we both happen to be in the industry. So it's like, hey, kind of need to know about these. It's a great excuse to have to pay for those. But use what you have in front of you. And if you're not sure, I absolutely agree. ChatGPT from OpenAI is the place
Mhm.
to start.
Well, and they can start with ChatGPT on a free version. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have all the models and things, but even as you get more into it and you start get to more involved, it's $20 a month. The costs are very minimal on a lot of these things, just to get into more of it, and then of course it goes up from there. But you know, jump in there, check it out, and use it basically as an assistant, like somebody that has an
Correct.
expertise in just about everything. They have a knowledge base that's just astronomical. So when you're talking to it, I know we talk about the perfect prompt framework. I'm going to reiterate this, and we're going to say this consistently because this is something you and I both use all of the time,
Mhm.
and it's kind of man, it's paramount to everything we do. So it's foundational pieces. So I'd love to go ahead and say that because you're much better at it. You came up with it. I'll let you say it.
Well, and that's a great thing. Once we start using it, then we're like, "Well, I need this list of all these prompts that I can reference." No, you
No,
don't.
you don't.
You need a framework, and
Yeah.
with that framework, you can ask any question and get a great response. It's
Mhm.
super simple. There's 4 steps. You need to tell AI the type of expert that you want it to act as. So maybe I'm asking it a question about, part of the sermon. You're an expert Bible scholar who is,
Mhm.
well versed in Hebrew and Greek language. That's it. Tell it some background. I'm sitting in church and my pastor just talked about it is finished and the last word that Jesus Christ uttered as he died. But I want to understand what that was meant in the original Greek or Hebrew or whatever language it was written in.
Mhm.
Please help me understand that more fully and what the real full meaning of the word is. So that's step 2 and 3, context and the question. And step 4 is the most important if you don't do anything else. And your prompt with this: ask me any questions you have.
Mhm.
And the reason that step 4 is so important and so few people talk about it is that if we don't ask questions. If we don't give AI enough information, it's programmed to assume. We
Yeah,
know what happens when we assume. We resemble the south end of a northbound mule. AI does the same thing, and it'll give us rotten
it's the truth.
responses. But if you just end your prompt with "ask me any questions you have," AI is smart enough. It's not really smart, but it's been programmed well enough to go, "Hey, there's 3 things that Jonathan should have just told me. It didn't. I'm going to ask him," and then I get a much better response.
Yeah.
So, 1, tell the model what expert is. 2, give it background. 3, ask your question, and 4, ask me any questions you have. That's it.
It's super easy, super simple, and just that last step is key. And one thing as well is it just again have a conversation with it. You can tell it what to do, and it'll do whatever you tell it to do. But when you actually start to interact with it, and you actually have it, okay, ask those questions, it will definitely help you. And if you don't necessarily know the prompt to ask, say, hey, act as an AI prompt engineer, and
Mhm.
it can help you build out the prompts itself. So if you do want to get into even more things, again, tell it what to act as, who to act as, give it context, give it background, give it the task, ask it questions and saying, hey, ask me those questions because you might not
Yeah.
know the questions you need to ask. And there's a lot of times that we don't know that. I'd probably
I
say
don't.
90% of the time we don't know the questions to
Exactly.
ask. so,
Exactly.
so those are things that we utilize consistently and on a daily basis. Those are tools that you guys can use within what you're doing within your framework of AI. Those 4 things, if you keep that framework down, you don't need to buy lists of prompts or go to these other sites where people are selling prompts. That's not what you don't need to. You just need that framework. And one thing that I want to, kind of reiterate as we discuss this is we're not here to sell anything to you guys. We're here to
Not a
actually
thing.
just provide value. We want to educate. We want to bring AI to the forefront, especially of faith. And so we're so glad that you guys are here to watch this. And you can check out Jonathan's Facebook group. I'll throw it back up here to get into this. Let's go into some more use case scenarios, Jonathan.
Sure.
I know, again, faith-based side, we went into some of those. Love to talk about maybe some of the business sides of this, like some tools that we can utilize AI within business. Because even before our show today, I was going through and thinking of some logos and things like that because I'm not a creative type. As me and you have discussed before, we're both diagnosed ADHD, and actually
Exactly.
AI is like our superpower because we can bounce through many different things
It really
consistently.
is. Yes.
I loved how you put that when we had that discussion a few months ago, and it is the honest to God truth. But some of the tools that you can use within AI to help build a business.
Yeah, and there's so many things. I look at it this way: AI amplifies skill and experience.
Mhm.
So AI is not here. I'm not a heart surgeon, and I would not be a great heart surgeon even using AI. It's not going to happen. But it does help. It's our job as humans to plant the seed.
Mhm.
And that seed is where we start. And then AI, and I'm an old farm boy, so you got to bear with me. AI really takes care of the germination and the growth and everything else and the harvest, and then essentially brings us the harvest and says, okay, what do you want to do with it? The key is that that used to take us sometimes days, weeks, months to do, even when we were working on business projects.
Mhm.
Now that can take minutes. Literally, the other day is a great example. I had somebody ask me and said, "Hey, could you teach us about this?" And I said, "Yeah, I could do that." In the old days, that would have taken me a day or two to put together a lesson plan, to figure out how to put it all together, to set up the registration, just to go
Mhm.
through all the stuff that I need to do to build a business. And I literally was able to get all of that done in under 40 minutes,
Yep.
which means not just that I saved hours there, but it actually means I was able to do it and add more value, because in the old days, I would have loved to have done it, but just didn't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
Now, when it takes 40 minutes to do instead of 4 hours to do, I can do more and I can provide more value. I think
Yep.
one of the most practical things for me is, if you're in business, you have email.
Mhm.
We all have email that we need to respond to. And if you're like me, sometimes you get those emails that you go, ah, man,
How am I going to respond to this one? Right? Yeah.
yeah, I got to draw some boundaries, but I got to
Mhm.
be nice while I'm doing it. I can't tell them the way I'm feeling. I know it's not Christian to do that. So how do I do this? Well, now I can literally, you talked earlier about training AI on who you
Mhm.
are. If I've taken just a moment to give AI a little bit of information about me, by the way, that can be as simple as a personality style. If you've taken
Yes.
like a Myers-Briggs or something like that, I can now go, hey, Jason just sent me this email. I need to tell Jason that I can't do this, and here's the reasons why, but I need to be nice about it.
Mhm.
And AI will literally write a response that probably will require you less than 30 seconds to edit when you're done. And it will sound better than any email that you spent hours slaving over.
Completely.
And it removes all the stress out of your life, because
Yep.
there is no stress anymore. It's just like you read it and go, wow, that's cool.
Yes.
And it's done. So,
Super easy.
a memo that I had to have a discussion with one of my team the other day about the fact that they were not performing well in an area. And I don't love those conversations. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't want to do this, but I know I need to do this. And I literally, because I know a little bit about them and knows about me, in about 2 minutes, I was able to get a great basic outline of how to approach this employee, how to
Mhm.
bring it up, do so respectfully and with empathy, but also point out that we've got some objectives that we need to hit. And I got to tell you, that removed so much stress from my life, Jason, because I
Oh, yeah.
didn't have to try to ponder that through. And here's the great thing: the employee received it with open arms because of the way that it was laid out. So
Mhm.
those so many things like that. I mean, we could talk marketing till the cows come home, but just even practical operational things like that.
Yes. No, I use that a lot in my outreach, my lead generation pieces. Researching the clients, researching their personality types. I love that you said
Mhm.
that. Finding out what language they speak. How can you get in front of them? What's going to resonate with them? And when you do that, whether it's emails, texting, responses, all of these pieces, it transforms what you're trying to say where they actually can understand it, because we all speak the same language for the most part, but we all hear things differently. And so when
Very
you can
much so.
actually change that and transform that into what they're hearing, it's a game changer for everything. It's not just business, it's life, it's a lot of different things. And so I love how you put that to start with, say, an email. We're all we all have
Mhm.
emails. They're not going away, whether it's that
No,
first email
I
out,
wish.
right? There's so many different ways in that. um, the good start, what I kind of teach people when we start with an AI is, like you said, give it some information about yourself, have it interview you, because I want it to know who I am. I know we just talked about that in saying interviewing some other pieces, but really just learning my voice. I want it to learn my voice, and so I say, okay, act as an AI prompt engineer, act as an engineer, act as a psychologist, act as all of these things, and I say, this is my end goal. I would like you to build a prompt that can replicate myself, so I can have responses for later. And I say, now ask me one question at a time when you're doing this. And it
Mhm.
starts to ask me questions, and it takes me usually about an hour or so, really, just to get it dive into it. And when it asks you a question you don't understand it, say, I don't understand that question. Say,
Exactly.
ask me in a different way, or maybe give me some examples of what that could be, and really have that conversation with it back and forth. And at the end of this whole thing there, it builds you out a full prompt that you can actually use to replicate your voice when you are responding to these. So that's one thing that I do. And I know, I think this is probably one of your first lessons that you've thrown out there that I kind of just took, and I kind of ran with that. But that's the thing that I would say: start with a little bit of that, just so it can get to know you and your voice. But then use it for these emails, use it for those replies. Um, Man, the AI piece within our ADHD, again, it is our superpower. It's something that was a struggle growing up, that we were always just bouncing all over the place from idea to idea.
Yeah,
And I know a lot of entrepreneurs are like that as well. Now this is how we get more done. So
absolutely.
you got anything to throw on that one? Sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent.
No, that's you nailed everything. I mean, I agree with you entirely. I want to encourage everybody that's listening that's going,
Mhm.
okay, AI and faith, you guys are a little nuts. I don't know if I'd buy this. Put that to the back burner for the moment. I'm okay with
Mhm.
that. But in your work, embrace it. It will allow you to provide more value to your employer, to your clients, to the coworkers, and ultimately that makes your life less stressful. And let's face it, Jason, I'm not 40, I'm not even 20 something anymore. So I don't love that adrenaline rush. And now I want calmness in my life and things.
Yes.
And AI reduces so much stress because it helps me deal with so many of those things that, as an ADD, I look at, and it looks to me like there's this cliff in front of me and it's millions of feet high and I don't know where to start.
Mhm.
Well, I don't have to worry anymore because AI can help me do that.
Yeah.
And I want to remind people that it's not AI taking over. It's AI as an assistant. I think you mentioned that earlier.
Mhm.
It's there to assist you. It's not
Yes.
replacing you. It's amplifying the skill and talent that you have
Mhm.
and saving you a lot of time along the way.
Some cool just things that I've used AI for just in the past few months, that I want to kind of explain to the audience here that you can use is, I actually was in Puerto Rico for a convention a few months ago, and I have my app, my ChatGPT app, and I open it up, snap a picture of signage that's out there, and it's
Mhm.
in different languages, Spanish and different stuff, and I say translate this, and it translates the full picture for me. So you can use it as a translation service. We can use it as
Absolutely.
translation back and forth. So that's one tool that I've used it for. Um, I've used it for research. You talk about deep research. That is a fairly newer tool within
It
ChatGPT
is.
and a few of the other ones. Where I'd love you to go on that because you do that a lot more than I do.
Yeah, basically deep research, it's like having your own personal research assistant, which I've never been able to afford or do. And to have them there that they can literally go out to the internet and actively scour the internet, scour knowledge bases, look for stuff, and then compile that and bring that all together and make sense of it and provide you with a report that you can read. So any topic that you can think of, whether it was as I did the other day about it is finished, or whether it's in business and I'm trying to understand Slack.
Mhm.
By the way, I can't stand Slack, but I just signed
I
up for a new
struggle with it
coaching.
too.
I just signed up for a new coaching program, and guess what? They use Slack. And
Oh
so I'm like,
man.
all right, if I'm going to invest in the coaching program, I got to
Yeah.
learn Slack. So what I do, I went out to deep research and I said, look, I'm an ADD entrepreneur. I'm 56 years old. I don't like Slack. I don't know why. I just don't like it. I need the ADD 56-year-old entrepreneurs. I don't want to use it guide because my coach now does it. And I had deep research do it. And it came back with a nice, great, here's how to get started.
Mhm.
Here's what to do. Here's how you can use it. Here's likely the parts that are driving you crazy, and here's how to avoid them. And I was like,
I'm gonna have to use
man,
that prompt.
I'll share the document with you. It was amazing. And yeah,
Mhm.
now it took it about 20 minutes to create all of that, but big deal. I went on and did something else, not a problem. It worked in the background. And
Mhm.
now I have something valuable that will help me do something that I know I need to do, not something I want to do, that I need to do.
Yep.
I love your idea about the travel, by the way. Real
Mhm.
quick, I was down in Mexico not too long ago for a conference, and we were in a cab, and the cabbie didn't know any English.
Mhm.
And I remember going to ChatGPT and said, I'm in a cab. The cabbie doesn't speak English. He speaks Spanish. I need to tell him to find the nearest ATM machine because we didn't have enough cash and we had to pay him in cash.
Mhm.
So it literally wrote it out in Spanish. And he's like, what are you trying to say? We couldn't communicate. I literally held my phone up and he read it and he goes, see, and boom, there off we were, and we went right to the
Mhm.
ATM machine. So
Yeah.
just a real
Incredible.
practical way that you can use it, because I didn't know how to describe that whole thing.
Yep.
We were trying, and of course it was getting loud because it, whatever reason we talk louder when we understand. Yeah, crazy mess. Great use for AI.
Yeah, man, I turn to AI for just about anything when it comes to research, when it comes to like being that assistant. Like you said right there, it is an assistant that you have in your pocket that
Yes,
we have available to us for a lot of different tools, a lot of different things. That deep research piece with the man, I use it for customer bases, or if I'm looking in an industry of saying, hey, okay, who is in this space? Like what is out there that I can utilize that I need to figure out this exact situation.
exactly.
The deep research piece is really really cool, and it does take longer to do, but like you said, you plug it in, let it go, and it runs on your own, so you can jump onto other tabs and then come back to it. Man, this time is coming up so fast here. We only got about 30 seconds here left. um, Abundant AI is the show, guys. You're going to start to see more of us. We're going to come on here every couple weeks and do this stuff, and I really really hope that you guys have enjoyed this. Jonathan, what you got, anything to finish up to let the audience know?
No, we'd love your feedback, guys. Let us know
Mhm.
what you love. We don't all have to agree, but we'd love to have the discussion.
Yeah, and any questions that you have, maybe there's some use case scenarios that you would like to see. You can reach out to Jonathan. AI prompts for entrepreneurs. Check out all my socials that you know of. But man, we would love to have those conversations and learn more and dig into more things with you guys. But man, Jonathan, we're finished up here, sir.
Thank you.
Guys, you go out and have a great day. And remember, AI is your friend.